Hey everybody, it's Bust with Busted Strategies number 37. Jumping into another Innistrad draft. Feeling pretty good. It's good going in here. Believe it or not, I have been entertaining the idea of jumping into Constructed. I need to do that. For if we're gonna hit Mythic in both formats, you gotta play both Limited and Constructed if you want to do that. So maybe after this video I'll start giving a jump into some Constructed. Have all the wild cards and everything one could need to flesh out the rest of a different deck if that's what we want to do. But nonetheless, asides aside, let's jump into what we have here. And Jadar is a fantastic start. This ability to generate zombies every turn is incredibly fantastic. Doesn't matter what flavor of black deck you're in. All of them are quite happy to have this ability happening. Just gives you a creature that can attack every turn. If you're in white-black, it gives you something to sacrifice. If you're in zombies, it makes a zombie. But then even if you're in something like green-black, they're still pretty happy to have the likes of an attacker every turn, even if this is just, say, attacking to give your Grizzly Ghoul a bonus. Not a bad deal. And so he's a pretty easy take. Otherwise, we should take a peek at the other cards in here. Not an unreasonable world for us to wheel a Digraph Rebirth. And otherwise, not too much. If another black card comes around, it's probably no way out. There's no red cards of note. So Jadar it is. So, if you don't watch all of my videos, I can at least, kind of stop and say, and why I think it's important that Digraph Rebirth is there, is that I think what we're really looking to do in this format is you pick one Esper color, so blue, white, or black, and then you pick one of green or red, and then you run with that. And so I think that the way that things have really kind of shaken out here these days are that, at least online, Esper is overdrafted and green and red are underdrafted, and so you can typically, kind of like find the Esper color that's open and then pair it up with a green or red and get together a pretty decent deck. But as far as this pack goes, it's not too exciting, but I'm okay to just kind of like lock in with this Vampire Interloper. It does make us want to be, a much more aggressive deck, as we have these two really kind of high quality 2-drops. And this isn't something that we really want to be taking second, but we should be able to kind of like hard cut black here and then figure out what the hell we're doing. Because there's nothing else here that really lines us up into wanting to be in a deck. Cathartic Pyre's fine, Deathbonnet Sprout's fine, but those don't really give us any direction. Those are just good cards. I want something that's going to give us some direction, and aggressive black 2-drop here is a bit of direction, even if the Vampire Interloper isn't that good. It does kind of push us towards white-black or black-red. Vampire Interloper being quite aggressive, but we'll see where this lines up. And okay, well, I'm okay to kind of like dip our toes into white-black here. I do like the really aggressive flavors of white-black, where we're trying to use like Vampire Interloper and Candle Grove Coven and things like that to just be really aggressive in the early game, and then that kind of gives us time to build into the engines using things like Odric's Outrider. But the Outrider is what I'm interested in here. Plays completely fantastically with Jadar, and more than happy to pick that up. Both the Occultist and the Siege Zombie would be reasonable additions to our deck here, but the Odric's Outrider gives us like a true build-around kind of card to add to our deck. Okay, well, the black cards are certainly drying up. There's nothing here. If we're looking to, jump into white-black, then the Gavany Trapper's fine. It is worth noting that that there was that Digraph Rebirth. We've passed a Deathbonnet Sprout. This is the second Sprout. There's the Eccentric Farmer here. The Sprout and the Farmer are the key cards to the kind of the green-black deck. This is the as good as it gets for self-mill when you aren't playing blue. But it's such a beat to have to like take him at this point. It's like if I knew the Rebirth was going to table, then I would like be more about these Deathbonnet Sprouts. But I think we're safe to just move on with the Gavany Trapper. We're not really locked into white-black at this point, but it seems to be like where this is going. And then packs like this show up, so I guess we will end up just taking something green or something blue or red here. And so it is an interesting pack. Like the Stolen Vitality is one of the key cards in the black-red decks. Plays fantastically with Festival Crashers. but I think I'm leaning towards this eccentric farmer. I've been like really happier with kind of like the green cards that have been rolling around here. And I still have in our head that we might end up in this green-black style deck. Doesn't play fantastically with these vampire interlopers, though. Maybe that we probably should have just taken the stolen vitality in the last pack. Fine enough to pick up the interloper here, though. This is giving us some really good direction on where this deck is going. Okay, then these cards, not that exciting. I think we just land on the Harvest-Tide Sentry here. He can play the same kind of role as the Candlegrove Coven, whatever the 2-cost flyer is, but he certainly doesn't play as well in green red and green black. Okay, well, here's a Festival Crasher. We'll see. I'm willing to like take a gamble on this and see if we end up in black red. Don't want the Arrogant Outlaw, and this is just like the key build around card in any of these black red aggro decks. The Rebirth did table. Maybe we can table one of those mushroom sprouts. I think that would be quite nice, but I'm not like we're not taking blue cards at this point, and Immolation rarely makes the cut. I think we can potentially get some real power out of these green-black cards. Okay, so more considerations is there's a Cathar Commando, and like realistically, Odric's Outrider is just better than all of these green cards, but it just feels like we're so close to getting away from white black. But all right, Unruly Mob's fine, especially when we have Jadar. It just gives us a +1/+1 generator every turn. I think we've talked a lot about these green-red cards, and ultimately we just won't end up playing them today. But you can see like how deep the green and the red run in these. You get like lots of really high-quality picks through like 6 and 7 and 8. And then you can tend to be able to just like wheel a lot of cards. And so that's what I really like about say we were going to draft black red, we take Jadar in the first pick, and then we can usually pick some cards that will be coming around at like pick 9, and you can do the same with the second pack at pick 10 since these cards tend to go so late. I don't think we'll be able to do this forever. I think things will kind of balance out. I think Esper is overdrafted right now, but I think this is a pretty reasonable way to handle the format as it stands. Ooh, the Stolen Vitality tables. And we are, I mean, I don't want to get locked in on black either. We have this like collection of cards from everything except blue, but we haven't seen any black cards after like pick 4. And so I don't want to lock into this Jadar. Stayed pretty open throughout the entirety of that pack. So where do we find ourselves here? Again, like the red cards all suck. Revelation, Ruffian, Immolation. We're not drafting blue, so these 5 can all be ignored. Stuffed Bear is not a playable, and so I mean that really just leaves us in the space to where like Borrowed Time and Digraph Rebirth are the only playables. I'm going to go with the Borrowed Time. This is the strongest card in the pack, just a premier removal as far as the white is concerned. And I mean we tabled one Digraph Rebirth. If we end up in green-black, it's not like we're missing out on anything in this pack, right? What are we going to do? Like take an Arrogant Outlaw and hope to table the Rebirth? Like that's not happening. I could see us playing Abzan or something and still wanting to get some of these cards into our stack. Oh, okay. So how do we feel about this? Again, another like really weak set of cards. The Lunar Frenzy is quite powerful, but like we only have 5 black-red cards. I think we have to just like, if we're gonna make this manageable, we're just gonna look at the Abzan cards. And so I could see us as being, more Abzan-y. There's a lot. We just need to kind of like focus on picking up some mana fixing. There's tons of it in the format if you're willing to draft it. And I think we can be kind of like, if we're playing green-black and maybe just splashing Borrowed Time and Odric's Outrider, I could see that being okay. So I'm going to go with the Eccentric Farmer in this pack and see if these cards don't, kind of come together in this sense. There's another Eccentric Farmer. I'm really worried about the quality of the black cards that are showing up. I mean, there's been like an Arrogant Outlaw in every pack, so it could just be a low roll, but the black cards certainly are concerning. But there's another Eccentric Farmer. I think that's where we're at with this one. Okay, and so It's interesting now that we're like switching into like green white. I mean, I think it's fair, right? Realistically, we have 3 black cards at this point, and so I don't think it's too ridiculous to say move out. And then if we do say play green white, we can still splash the Digraph Rebirth and the Jadar. We just need to pay attention to say like try and pick up a Terramorphic Expanse, which is especially good with these eccentric farmers. Maybe we'll play a Jack-o'-lantern. Maybe we'll play a Don Hart 4-drop. We have options in these terms. So let's see what we can do. We can get more eccentric farmers. Oh, the most eccentric of farmers, all of them. So give me all of the eccentric farmers. I think we need to come out to Flare Faith now. We don't have too many spells. Like if we're going to say take the Interloper out. Oh no, Jadar, come back. Okay. Like this is where I'm kind of like seeing things. We've got our splash, and we only have 1 spell. We're just gonna have to pick the Flare of Faith here, just to make sure we have some things to do. Okay, well, I'm fine to continue on with the duel for dominance. We gotta get some removal. I feel kind of safe in the terms that if we like find a defense straight in the next pack, we can still splash black cards. We're looking to play a bit of black here. If we find the likes of this Digraph Rebirth on the wheel, we'll definitely look to do it. But I think we need like something to do. I usually don't like Duel of Dominance unless we're playing with the likes of Shadow Beast sightings, but we haven't seen any up to this point. Bereaved Survivor's fine. Quite a powerful card if it gets going. Now the turds. The turds are what is here now. Just nothing for us really. We'll take the Blessed Defiance. I don't think we'll ever end up playing it though. Okay, just no Asban cards whatsoever. We can take the Path to the Festival. It is, technically mana fixing. Realistically, we won't play it. I think the Clarion Cathars is the next best one out of these. Oh man, all the Festival Crasher cards rolling around now. We could have had the Festival Crashers. We could have had like 3 of them. We could have had that Werewolf. We could have had 2 or 3 of the... Look at this. Oh my gosh, so many Festival Crashers. Oh man, I love this deck so much. It's tough. It does not deserve to be rolling around this late. Frowns. Okay, well, I think this is where we land on another Odrix Outrider. We don't have like big time combos with it, but if we look at ourselves as being kind of like an engine deck, that's where we're going to want to be. And so we're counting a lot on Jadar here, but I think the Outriders are fine. Okay, again, like no removals. So many Festival Crashers. Oh man. This is like now I have to like stop and ask myself, are we gonna do it? Or are we really just gonna like take red cards at this point and try to do it? Because the Digraph Rebirth didn't table. These green cards are not like super exciting. Is there a world where instead of splashing Jadar, we splash Moonrager Slashes? I don't think so. I think realistically, this is like a Rise of the Ants. This is a deck that can really take advantage of these, and that we're trying to be kind of slow, and that we also have like all these mill effects, so we might just kind of get it for free. Okay, man, this has been I don't want to call it a complete disaster, but this has not been a good collection of later game, just good collection of anything for our deck. This is just a weak pack, though. I mean, we probably need to take the Timberland Guide. We need to have like a little bit more to do in the early game. I want to get up to 6. Like 6 is my magic number for early game stuff to do. Oh man, and we had tons of combos for this Grizzly Ghoul, but I think we need to take the removal spell. Need to pick up this Eaten Alive just to have some interaction. Okay, we can play black cards. And then are we looking at Candlelit Cavalry? We already have 1 Jack-o'-lantern, which we're probably going to play. But otherwise it's just Duel for Dominance. Okay. Not amped about the Cavalry, but this is a deck that can support him. Ooh, Shadow Beast Sighting. Perfect, perfect. This is what we really need. It plays fantastically with the Eccentric Farmers. Just a great value card in this kind of mid-rangey style deck. Might of the Old Ways. Probably. Ooh, no, we should be taking Morning Patrol here. Not sure if we'll play it, but it's along the lines of one of these kind of good dirtily type of plays. I got Rebirth, our 4th eccentric farmer. It's all right. All right, we at least didn't like lock in on being some kind of particularly aggressive green-white deck. We kind of realized that we were going to be this 3-color kind of grindy, mid-rangey Asban deck. And I think with that in mind, we're looking okay. I think this is okay. We have some combos in here. You know, we finally picked up a handful of flashback spells between the Shadow Beast Sighting, the Rise of the Ants, the 2 Digraph Rebirths to use with all of our eccentric farmers. We got some of these combos to work with the Jadar. We have all of the Odric's Outriders. We picked up an Eaten Alive. Okay. I'm not excited or amped, but we can do stuff. As we got Bereaved Survivor out here working with Jadar. Convincing myself this isn't awful. I feel like the only thing that I would love to have a Terramorphic Expanse or 2. We don't have any of them, and so that's a bit of a pain point, but something we'll have to work with here. So I think kind of like immediately, I want to just drop 3 swamps. Yeah, man, none of the mana fixing rolled around. I'd really kill for that 4-drop as well that gains life and taps for any color of mana. I don't think we saw any of those. But let's drop to 3 swamps. We'll kick up the plains. That's probably okay. Now, where do we stand? Jack-o'-lantern has to stay in this deck. Homestead Courage doesn't belong. This isn't particularly aggressive. Going to end up taking out one of these 2-drops, but we'll come back to that. Morning Patrol's fine. All the eccentric farmers. I want to play, I think, like 1 Path to the Festival. Not usually like really big on this card, but we can play it through mill, or if we're really harding for a swamp, we have another way to pick one up. I think that's okay. Don't want to play Clarion Cathars. Oh, got to click card sleeves. I hate that button. Where are we at? 17 creatures, which is actually 19 with our Shadow Beast and our Rise of the Ants. So some of these dudes can go. Let me see. T:(CR) in the filter to split these apart. Can't push the Shadow Beast up, but they probably don't need Morning Patrol. These eccentric farmers don't really do much attacking. It is nice that we can potentially mill it, though. I think it's an okay removal. Want to take out Unruly Mob. It gets us to 17. Then we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4 realistic early plays. 5 with the Trapper. Jadar is more like something out here. It's going to be incredibly tough for us to play him early. So I think that's okay. Now, in terms of these spells, I don't really want to play Duel for Dominance, but I feel like we kind of need the interaction. Just get us. Shadow Beast Sightings up here, Rise of the Ants is up here. Path to the Festival probably needs to go, but again, I want to keep like the one way to fix our mana. Like we have the Path to the Festival, the Jack-o'-lantern, and then getting lucky hits with Eccentric Farmer. Maybe Flare of Faith can go. We're not particularly aggressive. It's nice when it's at its best when you're like attacking with a Candlegrove Witch and they try to play a removal spell on it and you get the bonus damage and the save. I don't think that's something our deck's really going to be doing here today, so we can let that go. Then one more, or maybe we could cut like 1 Eccentric Farmer, but it's just kind of like the engine to our deck. Maybe we could actually no, I'm not cutting a land here. If we were a 2-color deck with 4 Eccentric Farmers, then I think we could cut a land, but we have to be able to cast our spells here. I think we need to stay with our 17. Could just play 41 cards. Let's do it. We're just going to play 41. I like our squad here. That 1 percentage point's gonna get us at some point, I'm sure, but let's go. So yeah, that was kind of odd. The problems we had with that one in the draft were 2. I think we kind of locked in too hard on black. We let the Jadar influence us a little bit too much. I'll concede that we definitely did that. And then I feel like we could have been in a pretty strong Festival Crasher deck. I don't want to be like that guy that just drafts Festival Crashers all the time, but it is incredibly powerful and incredibly underdrafted these days. And so I think we could have done that as well. But let's see. Let's see how this goes. Not a fantastic start. We got one of these 4 landers immediately drawing a land start that really worries me in this format, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll discard something, we can jack-o'-lantern away. You didn't discard your disturbs, my man. So slightly awkward. We don't have a plains to drop this Dawnheart Warden, and it takes 2 mana to get a jack-o'-lantern really rolling, and so might have to wait a turn to drop the Wardens. Okay. And wait a turn we shall. So what do we do if he attacks? Are we cool with just trying to trade with Party Captain? I think that's fine. If it gets a trick, it's fine. He just comes in with the Sifters. Try to Death Touch it. Not super opposed to that. I mean, we don't have anything else to do. And we can still play the Dawnheart Wardens next turn. Okay. So the kind of like choice in the matter in these plays is if he has a Flare of Faith, we can't do anything against the Party Captain since it'll get indestructible. If he has a Startle, it's going to be a pain point for our Wolf. Doesn't have either. He has the Bounce spell. We're going to have to decide if we're really willing to, invest our white mana in this Dawnheart Warden, which I think is fine. We should have... these matter. We'll hit the Griff Guide. We should have drawn the card before we played the land, but I think this is okay. Where are you at? We need you for a white. Once again, we still have plenty of time here. He's not being like super aggressive. He feels pretty far ahead on board, but well, that seems good. So once we're able to get like this Rise of the Ants going, not particularly worried about anything he's doing. No attacks. Yeah, it's like he needs to switch on to some kind of like Flyers plan fast. Your graveyard. So I had to stop and check the Digraph Rebirth to see if we could resurrect out of our opponent's graveyard. Not the way it works here, but that would be pretty sweet for us if we could. I don't think he has any good units in there anyways, but maybe feel good if we could take old Dennis D's creatures. We are never hitting a Coven. That's an apparent fact. Opponent didn't do anything, which is kind of interesting. Let's see if he taps something. I'm not like opposed to trying to do stuff with this Pestilent Wolf, but I don't think we're coming into combat this turn. Very suspicious he doesn't play anything. Like, this may get countered, but... Alright. Loyal Griff. It's going to return party captain. Okay. Well, we're good to start attacking now. Shouldn't be like too troublesome to outlast this mysterious tone. We got plenty of cards to try and get in front of it with. And we can hit ourselves a coven this turn. We can play a land. We can add the Outrider. Looks good. Let's sacrifice off this Pestilent Wolf. Well, we should probably get rid of the Eccentric Farmer. The Death Touch will be more relevant in a turn or two. Odric? Farmer? I want to put my Odric counter on the Dawnheart Warden. Battle. Seems really good for us. Ready to play a Siege Rhino. I had to live during that era. The Asban decks running around all playing their Siege Rhinos. And that was in Standard. I don't know if he's made an appearance in any of the historic or whatever Magic Online, Magic Arena format there is. I don't know. I don't think Arena was out when I was playing during the Siege Rhino era, so I'd assume he's not there, but it's so strange. Like, it's just like it feels like, always felt like a do-nothing card. It's one of those cards that I would personally never play in the terms of, like, I don't think Tarmogoyf is a good Magic card. Tarmogoyf just has a bunch of stats. But, I mean, I can concede that Siege Rhino certainly ran rampant throughout that constructed format. But anyways, old times aside, new times here happening. I just plan on slamming into this board. His blocks, he's going to get a good block somewhere. I don't care. We're going to just Digraph Rebirth back any of the cards that we particularly care about, whether or not that would be Dawnheart Wardens or Odric. And then if we draw land, we might just end up attacking and slam back this Rise of the Ants. It's like he's going to get a good block with Shipwreck Sifter. But after that, these blocks aren't good. I mean, he can, like... He has to say block. Oh no, his blocks with the Sifters aren't good if we give everything +1/+1 or +1 attack. I'm not real sure what he's considering. It seems like he wants to play Party Captain, Bait Hook Angler in his hand and tap something. But if he wants to make that, he has to attack with 2 creatures. Okay. Cathar Commando is kind of interesting with this this artifact on the board. Alright, I had to double check we still had a Coven and didn't need to sacrifice anything. We're good. So he taps Harvest Tide, makes sense. We can also just get him in combat, right? He doesn't know that we just drew Cathar Commando. We can flash it on the board and sacrifice it, kill his artifact, give a unit +1/+1, kind of like a, combat trick. We'll see. I would suspect that's probably in the cards here. We have, 7 mana in hand. It takes 8 to make the full play, and so we'll be rebirthing something. Because stuff's going to die this turn. We'll probably just get to play it for 2 mana. Maybe. No, we don't have the double black to flash it back. I was like, maybe we'll get to play this thing twice. Okay, so let's see. Pestilent Wolf trade, Shipwreck Sifter trade. He's trying to take down Odric's Outrider, but we're currently lined up to blast him for lethal. Oh no, Harvesttide Sentry's not attacking. So yeah, this looks like a boost onto... Well, there's two ideas with this, right? Yeah, we definitely want to kill the flyer. With this, we can just let Odric die and then just bring him right back with the rebirth, where we can't bring back a token. And so I think I want to give the boost to our insect. Then we'll kill his flyer. He's going to have a Shipwreck Sifter on board, and then we just Digraph Rebirth Odric's Outrider. Right? So we lose Pestilent Wolf, protect our token. We're getting in for 4. Dig it. Okay. Alright, so stuff dies. Let's put our counter... Put it down here. We've got a bunch of 3s. We're going to get a 2 back, though, so we'll have a 2, 3, 4. So let's put it on the sentry. Oh, we got tons of counters. Double check, and yeah, Odric's fine. Hashtag LCS big plays right there. Am I right? The biggest of LCS big plays. Should have boosted our Harvestite Sentry one more, right? Then we could have lethaled here. Okay. Alright. Oof, fun. Good. Glad we had a good time there. His deck wasn't really rolling, but, you know, we got to do stuff. Get to kind of see what the deck is capable of. Feels good. Feels good, man. Alright, on to the next one. The little Siege Rhino number here. The Siege Rhino engine. The Siege engine getting it together. I can't remember. Oh, that... I think when the Siege Rhino was popular, I was playing a ton of Jeskai Ascendancy. That reminded me like of... kind of like how I feel we're getting in these formats. We'll see if we have enough time to kind of chit-chat about it before the match starts. But I guess we can press cancel. It kind of reminded me of a little history lesson from FTP Bust, in that where like I felt supremely good in Runeterra, and where I'm hoping we get ourselves now is like I tend to just be like a better drafter than most people. But then when it comes to like technical skills, people are way better than me. It's like I've always been, like pretty decent at constructed, but I think constructed gets boring. Like if I can find a constructed format to where I can play like the same deck over and over again for 500 games, then I tend to get pretty good at it. But like from a technical standpoint, there's way better people than me. People watch these videos because I got a pretty voice and I say card names in dumb ways. But no, I can typically like outdraft people, and that's where I get my edge in limited. Is I have good decks in limited, and the power of my decks outweighs the better technical abilities that our opponents have. But it was reminded me, like at one of the Grand Prix I played in, I drafted like constructed level Jeskai Ascendancy deck in limited. It was like I had 2 Jeskai Ascendancies. I had like all of these like combos with it. I had like the entirety of the deck. I was like assuredly like getting ready to top 8 that event. Like the people doing the coverage could tell Like, I think I needed, like, if I 3-0'd that draft, I would have, like, I think I would have top 8'd. I think it was the second draft and not the first. I don't remember. But it was like, I think I maybe like 8-1 day one and then was like primed to 3-0 with this deck. And it was like, I ran into like mana issues one game. I won another match, and then it was like I had to play Josh Utter Layton or Raptor, if you will, in one of the third matches of that pod. And it was like his deck was dog shit. Like no disrespect. I think he would readily admit his deck was dog shit. It was bad. It was playing like the real dregs of the format. Like whatever he was trying to draft or whatever his strategy was, just like did not come together. And it's just like as we're playing, it's like I'm playing like these constructed quality cards, but he is just like nailing out these edges with whatever like shitty Rakdos deck he was playing. And like he wholeheartedly just like took the match on these small edges. And it was like you could sit there and you could just like tell. Like I've ran across like some people in my lives where it's just like you are like next level better. And like that is completely what happened in that match. My deck just like stumbled a little bit, and his like pile of garbagey black red cards just like took it to the next level. And I was like, oh man, I wonder if this is what the kind of like level of ability I have to be at if we're going to come up here and try to like top 10 and limited or be double digits and limited at the end of the month. It's like I certainly don't have that level of skills. But I was just thinking the Siege Rhinos reminded me of the Jeskai Ascendancies. The Jeskai Ascendancies reminded me of that Grand Prix. It's kind of a little chain of events for story time. But oh yeah, his deck was bad. I think he like knew, like he was he it seemed like he was kind of like embarrassed by some of the cards he was playing, but he's just such a master it didn't even matter. It's just, if he had, I think I'm guarantee you if he had my deck he would just be like top 8 in today. This is a straight up 3060. But anyways, back to the action at hand, not events from 8 years ago. We're going to keep this one. It's got the full Asban collection of mana. It's got some dudes we can play, some value we can generate. I think we can get things going with this one. Right, all right. And we got our kitty to help now. I think that's ultimately what my problem was at live constructed events. Like I just never had any kitties around uh, to pet in the middle of games and stuff. Really, really weakens our abilities to get our edges in constructed. All right, so we hit a Shadow Beast sighting amongst the two lands in our pile. You know, edges, little bits of value. I'd rather be casting the Shadow Beast sighting from hand, but you know. Will work for me. Odric will make our eccentric farmer a good attack now. And it's like I'm kind of tempted to just put the counter on our Gavany Trapper so it can do a little bit more stuff here, but I think this is okay. Gotta get down, bud. Still can't tap anything. Let's get our swamp down. There's no reason to add the survivor now. Let's just go ahead and get an attack in. The green and white mana are the most believable. Hey, I have a combat trick in my hand, so we'll keep those up. We're just gonna be trapping something this turn, but we should tap our mana the proper way. All right, heard that noise. Gotta make sure we can still do stuff here. This is fine. We can borrowed time. This burly breaker. We have the manas. Yes, I'd like to target. Yes, I'd like to spend one. Okay, and then do we want to continue tapping stuff, or do we want to just play like Pestilent Wolf? It's like I kind of want to get the wolf on board because like next turn we're just going to play Shadow Beast Sighting. And I'd like to continue attacking with stuff here. So I think this is fine. We can let them get a loot and not be ultra upset about it. He's getting all them values, putting the land in hand. He's got the land to discard to the Haunt. Feel what you're doing. We even have, as I say, we don't even have units we can bring back with the Bereaved Survivor. Tap our Trapper, sure. Okay. Bring our bro back with this Dauntless Avenger now. It's nice. Pestilent Wolf coming back from the bin. He's got a ton of cards in hand as well. It's kind of scary. This card's Startled. Interesting. So all of the cards in hand are currently better than Startle. This is a play to like tap our Avenger. What would be like the worst thing that happens here? He taps our Avenger and then plays a interesting. I was gonna say then he plays like a bounce spell on our Odric's Outrider or something. We care if that blocks anything? We can just tap it. We're not anywhere near getting lethal next turn. And we can digraph. The big play of the day is going to be this digraph rebirth onto our Eccentric Farmer as the only legal target in our graveyard. These are all the values though, right? Oh, so much value. So many values were found. We even had a 2-drop in there. Oh, man. People say, Bust, what is the most value one could generate? That, whatever we just did. Alright, well, let's see if he taps anything. He doesn't. Get our dude back. Now we can tap something before he can block. I don't want to say anything before it actually happens, but this does not seem good for you, my man. This does not seem good. Just a little analysis from your opponent's point of view, the opponent POV here. This does not seem good for you. As it stands, we kill his Wrangler, trade for the Organ Hoarder, trade for the Creeper, kill his other Wrangler, kill his Archive Haunt. So at the end of the day, we are going to have an Odric's Outrider, a Gavany Township, an Eccentric Farmer, We're going to add like 4 tokens because of our Odrix. And then we can like Shadow Beast sighting at the end of the day. Or we can Digraph Rebirth. I wish the. Do we want to bitch about this for a while? Like, how many of these triggers do we even have coming up? Oh, this game. That many is how many we got. All right, so this is just a rise of the ants. There's nothing he's gonna do with this information. This lets him get too wider. We did mess that up. We should have put 2 counters on the Gavany Trapper, or 0. 2 or 0 is the number, right? We can either use it to tap something, or we can attack with it and want it to be lethal. So I guess it didn't quite matter in terms of that game, because that game was just done. But if we're trying to play perfect, then we should have done a little bit better there. Cool, we win. All right, on to the next one. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool little tricks and engines, highlights we're getting together here. I dig it. I thought this deck was just going to make me mad when we came out here in like 03, but as we've gotten some cool stuff together, I've generated a little bit more respect for the Abzan Siege Engine brew that we have here. All right, keeping it. If we get 1 land, then our land problems will be okay between the Eccentric Farmer and the Path to the Festival. So we'll get a couple draws at it. Things might get, awkward if we don't pick one up early, but we have the tools to immediately draw out of it if we hit. Here's the swamp. So do we want to ramp? This thing actually ramps. So like if he's going to be out here being all slow, I mean, we might just want to try and get all the Path to the Festivals going. I mean, he's playing blue-red, and he's not immediately just blasting us with a Festival Crasher. Like, his line was Larder Zombies nothing. And so, I think that's okay. Let's put the Candlelit Cavalry on the bottom. Well, I mean, it's not a big deal if we don't get to make these big plays next turn. I think this is fine. Right? If we don't get to flashback Path to the Festival next turn, it's not horrible. Oh, man. This is pretty cool, though, right? Hype in the chat. Bust making sweet decks. So we want to do it like this, right? We want to have the white mana, because we have 2... We can play Cathar Commando if we hit any land. All right, but yeah, no pressure from opponent. This is kind of nice. Plenty of time to just ramp and get all this mana going. Feels good, man. Feels good. When we're out here playing blue-red, it's like, hey, here's my Festival Crashers. Soak them all in, because there's 3. Okay, so how do we feel? Are we willing to trade our Cathar Commando for a Larder Zombie? I think that's fine. The next question is, do we also want to attack with Eccentric Farmer? It's the free attack, I think. That's fine. So yeah, let's slam it. Oh, he had the option to tap. Gotta remember that too. Ooh, gets rid of Geistflame Reservoir. He must not. He doesn't have a 4th land in hand. I guess that makes sense. So let's add the Cavalry. The only kind of like weird downside to that turn is we could have perhaps flip the Bereaved Survivor, which combos quite nicely with the Cathar Commando. But, I mean, I guess we have an Eaten Alive in our hand if we really want to be making that kind of play. So I think that's okay. Depending on what we draw next turn. Like, if we draw an untapped land, we'll just play both units. But we could look to be getting an Eaten Alive. But we want to add both, because we're going to be Covened, right? So we'll play the Wardens. It's going to give us a boost of attack. We'll play the Bereaved Survivor, so if he trades with our Eccentric Farmer, it gets to flip. I assume he's just going to tap our Candlelit Cavalry. We get in for 3 with the Eccentric Farmer. Yeah, he's a Trample Bro now. I see you highlighting my unit. The awkward piece to this puzzle is if next turn, if we want to flip the Bereaved Survivor, we got to lose our Coven, right? But we don't have to. Like, if we want to Eaten Alive the Eccentric Farmer to kill off the Scab Wrangler, then we have to lose our Coven in the process. But bigger problems have existed in the world. It's not a big deal. Ooh, Scab Wrangler number 2, huh? I'm just not like really amped up about that kind of play. So he's going to have a 3-2 behind. We're just going to blast with everything, right? His probable block would be onto Dawnheart Wardens, which is fine. Squad. If he blocks the Wardens, we flip the Survivor. Otherwise, he can trade in with the Survivor, but risks taking a lot more damage. Alright, not bad. I don't think we need to Eaten Alive just yet. Let's improve our card quality a little bit. I'll pick up a Swamp. There is a world where we want to have double black if we want to play 2 Digraph Rebirths in the same turn. Okay. Feels like this one's slowly starting to slip away. These Scab Wranglers are definitely going to cause us problems. The way I'm kind of looking at it now is we'll draw a card with Jack-o'-lantern just to see what happens. But we don't have too many interactive elements. Like, we're trying to win the game on the basis of like stats and just playing a bunch of cards. Like these boards, we don't manage too well. We need to get a we need to get like a Rise of the Ants or get a Shadow Beast sighting, something that lets us get some big like 2-for-1s in itself, but then threatens like more 2-for-1s with the cards that we're playing. Let's take out his spells. We should probably just get rid of Startle. Timberland Guide. You are little exciting. Jadar, you were bigger exciting. I think that we're looking to Timberland Guide the Dawnheart Wardens, as if he only taps the Candlelit Cavalry, right? Say he taps both Scab Wranglers and the zombie token to let the Candlelit Cavalry go about. or I'm sorry, to tap the Candlelit Cavalry, we just have the Farmer and the Wardens. Like, he has good blocks with both his Organ Hoarders if he just makes one tap, but the +1/+1 onto our Wardens lets them trade with both Organ Hoarders, if that's his MO. He has another Startle. This is savage, but I think this is fine. Interesting. He's got to have a card if he's blocking like that. If he had a Startle, he'd be double blocking the Dawnheart Wardens, right? Iced Wave. Interesting line. Okay. Do we ever Eaten Alive anything this turn? It doesn't feel super worth. I don't know like what unit we're waiting on, but I feel like we'll get like a good attack one turn with this Eaten Alive. You know, the Scab Wrangler was the easy choice, but once he played the second Wrangler, then we just can't deal with him. The Thermo Alchemist is like not doing anything, right? We're way too high for it to matter, but it feels like a waste to spend this Eaten Alive on an Organ Hoarder. So, let's see. Not sure what other like juicy draws we have in here. Duel for Dominance, Borrowed Time, Million Eccentric Farmers. Like all of our draws are good that aren't land. So many Organ Hoarders. In the Duel for Dominance. So what's his action going to look like here? He can't play any spells. He's most certainly not getting involved in combat with the Scab Wranglers or the Alchemist. That's one tap. He's going to tap our Candlelit Cavalry with that. Moving on to the next ones. Just leaves him with some turds. I think that's fine. I don't think we get anything out of playing Eaten Alive here, is what this is trying to come down to. We might get a pretty juicy Duel for Dominance, though. And I guess the other thing we could be looking to do is to Duel for Dominance a Scab Wrangler, and then also Eaten Alive another Scab Wrangler, just to get these stupid things off the board. I'm not opposed to that. But I think I'm going to try and get him. If he... no. We can't just get him with Dawnheart Wardens, right? If we want to Duel for Dominance the Scab Wranglers. Okay. Just you. We do have a Coven, right, before I fuck this up. Just to be sure, we got a Coven. Creature you control, creature you don't. Okay, so that dum-dum's been dealt with. Our Candlelit Cavalries can finally attack after being on board for 7 turns. Okay. Surprised he played that land. He's getting really low on cards here. So how do we feel about these attacks now? If we attack, I think they're all good, right? The Candlelit Cavalry is going to have 6 attack, so if he wants to block with the Skrillex and the Organ Hoarder, then we get a kill. Dawnheart Warden, I don't think we want to attack with here. And of course our zombie token gets in. You can make like one play. Like he can block the Candlelit Cavalry with the Skrillex and then play the thing in his hand. I don't see where that gets him though, right? Like what is his angle for winning the game if he trades off his Storm Skrillex here? I don't quite understand. This makes sense. Alright, so I mean, the Skrillex can legitimately end this game, right? If he, I don't know, if plays Abandon the Post twice, that's 6 damage out of it. Like, he can make big blowout plays here. So I don't want to feel like this game's over. I think we've got, pretty decent edge here. Just took us effing forever to get to that point. Not bad, not a bad addition to your board. Oh, Jesus. Okay. As I was making those statements, our board is nowhere near as good as our opponents now, and I'm not really sure how we're ever going to win this game. If we just need to do 5. Right, well, we'll get one potential damage with this Outrider token. Not taking the bait, huh? Does take down the Timberland Guide, though. I'm going to put all the counters on Jadar. I want him to be ready and willing to attack. Right, I envision the way that we can actually win this game is by getting a tap on his turn, like we tap his Skrillex. Our turn, we get another tap with the trapper, and then we have like a removal spell or something to punch through for 2 units. We have to worry about him still like having a blocker though. Like Thermo Alchemist is the most annoying of bros and being able to come out and block. Yeah, I'm not feeling real good about this one. The level of good I'm feeling is really low. I think he's being weird here. He knows he has to play an Electric Revelation next turn, but he kind of wants the card that's on top of his deck. It's like there's a world where he just can't play the Electric Revelation, right? Like, I guess there's not a world where he can't play it. It seems like he doesn't want to play it. I'm taking a roll of the dice here, in that our opponent just drew like a creature that they really want to get on board, and this might save us a couple points of damage by letting this Screel. Is this a sorcery? No, I didn't think so. Okay. I'm gonna say this might save us a couple points of damage. Like if opponent had just like instantly milled their top card and picked it up, then I think then we would just definitely tap the Skrillex. But with them like taking half an hour looking at the card on top of their deck, deciding not to mill it away, it makes me feel like they want to add it to hand and then just not discard it. So I feel like there's a realistic world where we just take 2 damage here. Did he discard Obsessive Astronomer? Okay. So now if he drew 2 land, if he drew 2 land, we can win the game here. Just slap down those lands. Drop him right on the board. Doesn't seem like he drew a spell, right? He just kills us with a spell. Taps his Alchemist, plays the spell, taps it again, game's over. I'm standing by it. He just drew 2 land, and then we're just going to top deck Oblivion Ring and take it down. Say, boom goes the dynamite. If he's taking an hour on his singular spell, though, I'm going to get salty. I was going to go ahead and put it out there. Go ahead and put it out there. Locked in the cemetery. Okay. Oh my gosh, and we drew it. Oh man, we drew it. It's still not enough. We can not die here, though, right? No, we die to Thermo Alchemist next turn. Is there any way out of this? Tap his Alchemist. Or we tap... Oh god, we so drew it. Alright, maybe he'll do something dumb. Oh, the perfect answer to everything, right? Maybe he'll do something dumb. No, we can't even lethal to make that. Alright, let's save some time. Oh, it's so sick. Oh man, we hit our like 1%er of outcomes. He just had the way to get out of it. Ah, brutal. Well played. GG, my man. GG. Alright. We have been felled. 1 defeat. But yeah, I was thinking, I can't remember if I talked about it. I got kind of salty in a video the other day. Like, it was the last game, so I felt sad about losing, but opponent was just playing dumb and giving us all these extra turns. And we realistically have to be happy about that, right? The mindset needs to be, you know, our opponent gave us opportunities we didn't deserve, and you know, that's how we get some additional wins where other people would not. And that's kind of how that game was, right? We were kind of the tide had turned, and we're definitely in a bad position, but things are kind of looking to where you know, we had an out, and we played towards it. But nonetheless, back to this game. I'm going to mulligan this. It's like if we don't draw a forest, this is just way too bad. So we'll send it back. Always feels terrible to do so, but that's what we'll be doing. And oh boy, we got all the farmers, huh? I think we can live with 2. It's like I see a hand like that, and it's like, I want this hand to be 3 farmers, 3 land. Fuck it, let's go. But that's not what we're gonna do today. We'll be a little more careful. Save the raw power for this Odric. This isn't actually Odric, though, right? I keep calling this Odric. I think Odric is actually a dude and a card, but he's just not very good. Is that it? I think the Outrider is just way better. Alright, in the mills. Fuck. That's not good. We lost a high-quality borrowed time. Some of our top end. It's not that bad about losing the Cavalier, but borrowed time sucks. Not hitting any land sucks. Really don't want to stall out on mana. I was really hoping to get to play this Outrider next turn. I mean, what? Gotta get this out of here. Where are we at, deck? We were at 17% 3 times, so that would have been like 15% 3 times. That's pretty much like a 100% chance of hitting a plains. I don't know what happened to us. All right, one-time dealer. Get this card. Fuck, come on, go. Why? Why won't you? What have I done? Done. Okay. Jesus Christ. Why do we even bother with this game? Okay, well, we found a land. Can't attack. We just kind of need time now. I like if this is just some kind of like heavily ground-based thing, then we can do it. If this turns into like a big heavy flyer disturb deck, we're really going to struggle. Right? We didn't put our deck together to be able to deal with boards like this. We don't have a combat trick to punch through. So, all right. Well, he's giving us some time. These attacks don't feel like amazing, right? We're just trading a half of a card for a token, but we gotta get something happening here. Why would it ever put Morning Patrol first? Oh my gosh. Come on, game. Really want to see him spend these jack-o'-lanterns as we're out here hanging out with the digraph rebirths in our hand. I was watching somebody stream. I wasn't sure, and they weren't sure if this was a bug or not. The way jack-o'-lantern reads, if you target something in your opponent's graveyard and then they remove that target, you should still draw the card, right? Because the up to one target isn't a condition on the drawing the card, but they jack-o'-lantern something, and then I think the opponent like cast it, and then they didn't get the card draw on the jack-o'-lantern. I'm not sure if that was a bug and it's been fixed, or if that was the actual intent of the card, but something of note. I don't want to burn off our rebirth. Opponent will come out here and try and draw some cards at some point, right? I mean, that might have been our opportunity when they were tapped out just to go ahead and slam the rebirth, but I mean, we can get back Jadar, which is, quite tempting on a board where we have Odric's Outrider. It's just like I feel like the problem here is these like jack-o'-lanterns are just going to hang out forever. Not really stoked about that. Can't do it now, right? He can pop our target. Pop it and lock it. Drop it. It's got so much life. This is like no way in the world we're winning this race. Okay, well, the 4/4 for 4 is going to have to be enough value out of this thing. We can't just pass and try to play a value game. We're never winning that, right? He's going to kill us way before the value's ever going to matter. So maybe he'll feel compelled to spend the other jack-o'-lantern as we've played our flashback card. Right, because he gets to draw cards off those things, so he's incentivized to get rid of it to a degree. Okay, coming in for 5. He's got to have another dude here. Okay. Right, because his blocks aren't very good without another dude. No reason to bring any of our dudes into play now. Y'all know what time it is? Oh my god. It's like I want to attack with everything, but do we die on the crackback? Where are we at? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nope. Alright. Squad. Oh, we can't digraph rebirth. He's got it. No, no, okay, the pumpkins are gone. Those are just hanging out in the graveyard. Okay, okay. Alright, we need some stuff to die. Right? Each creature that died this turn. Yeah, put your veteran in front of the Timberland guide. That's 2. Do what I tell you to do, guy. fucking do what I tell you to do, guy. Jeez. I think we're only going to get to cast this once. It's only going to be 2 creatures down. Okay, so we definitely want to get the Candlelit Cavalry. And this is what, -3? We're 1 mana short. Are we just dead now? Now that he got more damage? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yep. Lame. we didn't have to be so aggressive with the attack that turn, but I think we actually did. We're dead in 2 turns to his flyers and can't do anything about it. All right, let's tear through the 2 loss bracket though. We're ready for it. We're ready. It's Lumberg. Okay. Say, hell, Lumberg after, right? We say the F word on here. you got to get your office space quotage going on. There is a world where people would want to make an attack here. We're not going to do it, right? This is a spot to clearly get hit with a Cathar Commando. But if you're trying to say like attack and play a search party captain, it's very dangerous here when they green-white passes with the 2 mana up. All right, we're bringing the heat. I wonder if this guy's name is actually Lumberg, and then he just has the Michael Bolton problem, right? For someone with the name Michael Bolton, you must really love Michael Bolton. All right, well, what's going on here? He's playing some eccentric farmers. Okay, did he just whiff? Oh, he's got a Terramorphic Expanse. He didn't whiff anyways. Okay. So let's tap his attacker. We get a good attack with the farmer next turn. Get to add a big boy. And we get to start that eternal search for a swamp. Okay, that can be problematic. Alright, so what do we see ourselves doing here? The problem with our attacks here are if we come in with the Candlelit Cavalry, he can block with well he's let's be real, he's just gonna tap stuff with his tapper. I don't think we're getting anything done this turn. I mean, let's go to combat. He's gonna tap our cavalry. I wanted ourselves to be in this space to where we get to tap on their turn, right? If we just say, "Oh, I'm gonna tap you," and just spend all my mana before I attack, then it leaves opponent in a place to where they can tap our tapper and then we can't use it on their turn, which is kind of unfortunate. We have to borrow time the mentor, and then we can tap some stuff on their turn. This game is looking to go kind of long though, so I wouldn't be like upset to make trades and stuff, but we gotta find a swamp at some point soon. Like if we can like draw a swamp and trade Candlelit Cavalry with something. Oh fuck! Trade the cavalry with something and get in the cycle of bringing it back. It could be worthwhile. But I think we're about to run into mana problems. I don't know if you've done the mathematics on this board situation, but we've got 3 cards in our hand that we can't cast. Yep. So, I mean, I think we're still in it. He's having trouble here. But you gotta pick up one of these swamps. That's an interesting splash. And does nothing. Wow. Alright, well, our deck isn't sending us any punishes, so it's a little unfortunate, but I think he's going to get wise that he can just tap something now. Really surprised that he didn't just tap on his turn when his board is so superior to ours. But take whatever we can get. These Digraph Rebirths aren't even good anymore. We have to just block and hope. We have to just like draw a swamp. Sure. Nope. It's not exactly drawing a swamp. What's our chance? What do we got in here? Land, swamp, 3, 14%. Practically 100. Okay. We'll take one more hit before we start chum blocking. Sure. All right. Well, we'll call it a day there, I guess. That's a little unfortunate. I was expecting like that to kind of happen because we just didn't find the mana fixing in this draft. I mean, we had the second rampant growth we could have played, but we didn't find the good fixing. We can take a look at the draft again. I know there's a few things in there I wanted to talk about, but that's a sad one. I feel like we were given, as we said in some of those previous games, I feel like we were given lots of opportunities in that last game, and our deck just didn't cooperate. So let's at least pull this up. We'll talk about this deck a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is one of the things you can do specifically if you're playing green, like double specifically if you're playing blue-green. Like the splashes in this format aren't, super hard to do. If you're playing blue-green, there's Root Coil Creeper that taps for any colored mana, but just in green in general, there is the Rampant Growth, which I do not want to play. I don't want to act like this is a spectacular card. It's serviceable, but the format tends to be like a little bit too fast to be playing this 3-mana ramp. Just too many decks that can like tempo you out of a game. to where you don't really want this. You're not doing a whole lot of Path to the Festivaling on 3 and then doing it again on 5 and just like ramping up super big and not getting blown out of the game. And so this isn't what you're really looking for. Ideally, you're playing things that you want to play anyways, like Terramorphic Expanse, things like Jack-o'-lantern work. We've called out the 4-drop that I could never remember the name of a bunch of times, and then you could even look towards like Candle Grove, Scarecrow, the 4-cost artifact that you can filter mana through it for 2 mana to get 1. So lots of options. Now, I think this deck it could have been reasonable if we had picked up a bit more of that. If we were, I was kind of like trying to position ourselves as this kind of like mid-rangey value-based deck to where we have, all of the mulches out of these eccentric farmers, and then that leads into having like Shadow Beast sightings and Rise of the Ants, and so we can either mill those, or since we're playing the farmer to draw all these land, then maybe we can just support it anyways, and then that's kind of like piece 1, and then piece number 2 being like how do we maximize having the combo of Odric's Outrider along with Jadar. And so I thought we had, we're definitely not going to be aggressive. We definitely have some like engine components happening here, but we didn't have the mana to really make the themes tie together. So I'm surprised we didn't run into more issues than just what we did there in that last game. And so it's a kind of an interesting concept, I think, in terms of what you're going to like run into a problem as if you're playing green black is finding ways to kind of like tie all the value together, because it's very easy to end up in green black and you have say you have all of the mushrooms, and you have the eccentric farmers, and you have the Shadow Beast sightings, but that's like the extent of taking advantage of the mill and the mulch strategies, right? There's the Shadow Beast sighting and Rise of the Ants. Green just really has what are we going to call? There's like there's like the regrowth card, and then there's the remove cards from a graveyard kind of cards, and black doesn't have really anything in flashback, and they have like the 1 disturb uncommon, and so you have all of this like build up, but you don't have any of the payoff, and so it's really weird that that's kind of a thing when what do you call it? Where's our spell at? The Digraph Rebirth, right? You're kind of expecting more of these like flashback cards in green black, but they just don't really exist. So I thought it was kind of an interesting concept, but we missed a bit of the execution with without having the mana fixing. And I think that 4 mana dude that gains 3 life and taps for any color would have actually been really spectacular in this deck. If we're like, oh really, like, okay, I played an eccentric farmer and I hit a land and milled a dude, and now I want to bring that dude back with Digraph Rebirth. Like I think we had a lot of really cool potential here, but we were just a little bit lacking on the execution. And so I hope we get to try and piece something together like this again. I'm really kind of interested in this type of strategy, because again, the way I feel that this format has shaped up now, I've talked about this in probably like the past 3 or 4 videos, so skip ahead a minute if you're tired of hearing it. But the way these formats kind of go is people kind of latch on to the good decks really quick. People figure out that blue-black is very good, Disturb is very good. That happens like right at the beginning of the format, and so you take advantage of those decks while people are still trying to like figure out how things work. Then the pros go out there and write some articles and make some videos, and people take a week or 2 to kind of pick that up. And so now we are in that 2 weeks have gone. Your average draft once or twice a week folks have picked up that Esper is particularly good, blue is particularly good. That stuff is overdrafted, and so we're trying to take advantage of that and come in here and draft green and red, which is super open at this point. And so we're trying to find the least drafted Esper color along with what's open in green or red, and piece together a deck that way. And so that's why we're running into all these Festival Crasher decks and all these Coven decks here recently, as we're landing in a lot of green and red and then just getting paired into white. So that with that in mind, I do suspect we'll be hitting more of these green strategies. You can't just be drafting Coven every time, and that's an easy one to figure out. The blue-green ramp, very easy to figure out. I feel like we've kind of covered off on both Coven and blue-green. Now it's a matter of what do we do with green paired into black, and what do we do with green paired into red. And green paired into red is basically just werewolves. So it's just green into black is kind of the last spoke of the strategy of the week. So, interesting thing. I do want to talk about the draft a little bit. I do concede we got hung up on Jadar quite a bit. This card is ridiculously strong, and we had some combos to go with it. And so I felt like I got kind of stuck on him a little too much. I think if we had drafted perfectly at the end of the day, we would have landed in a Festival Crasher deck. I think it was there. We saw tons of Festival Crashers. We saw tons of Stolen Vitalities. We saw the Lunar Rush. We saw the Angel Fire Ignition. I think we should have been in a Festival Crasher deck, but that's for another day. With this deck here specifically, I think Jadar was an easy take. And then again, I do like to call out there's Digraph Rebirth here. Very good chance this wheels. Just in the sense that green-black is not a very good. It is arguably the worst color pairing in the format. And so Digraph Rebirth potentially wheel, which is quite strong with something like Jadar. Onto pack 2. This one, it's tough. I think there's a few different options in this pack. You could have looked to Cathartic Pyre. That's arguably the strongest card in the pack. But it's if we don't know if we're going to land in red, then we don't really want Cathartic Pyre. But I think if we think on it twice, we probably should have just taken the Pyre. But this is usually what I feel like is more of like a third or fourth or fifth pick card, and not necessarily a second pick, especially in pack 1. Pack 2, sure, take it second. Pack 1, And so the problem though is with all these other cards is if we're going to go out on a limb with Boros, then we just want to take the Cathartic Pyre, right? If we take the Pyre, we're going to try to wheel the Cavalier. So we don't want to take the Cavalier, and then that leaves us with like, well, I guess we're stuck taking an Esper card, and Vampire Interloper. Well, it does play, fantastically with Jadar, right? Generating a zombie that can attack every turn, being really aggressive with Vampire Interlopers, that all works nice. But it is such a low quality card. I think we probably should have just kept our options open here and taken the Cathartic Pyre, hope to wheel the Sunrise Cavalier. Or there's also the world where we wheel Cathar Commando, which I'm curious what showed back up out of this pack. At pick 10, Cathar Commando did wheel. So interesting there. On to pack 3. I think this was fairly safe with Odric's Outrider. Kind of one of the things we've talked about a lot in recent times is making sure you have the right cards for the right deck. And if we're going to play an aggressive black-based deck, right? If we're playing Vampire Aggro or whatever we're going to do with these, we don't want Novice Occultist or Siege Zombie. So I feel safe staying away from the black cards. And then if we say, okay, Bust, we're just ignoring Vampire Interloper, how do we best take advantage of Jadar? Because Novice Occultist and Siege Zombie both play well in white-black, and the kind of dirtily grindy decks, but Odric's Outrider is way better than these in those style of decks. And so I think the Outrider was a reasonably strong pick. It should, kind of line us up to being in a real engine-y aristocrat style deck, but very, very strong with Jadar. Okay, then on to the next one. We are looking to just be in black-white at this point. I think the Trapper is fine. It's much better than the Silversmith. Nothing else of real interest in this pack. The Death Bonnet Sprout would have been fantastic in our deck, but we didn't realize we were going to be in green-black at this point. Fair enough to pass on. Pick 4, and we say, well, maybe these things are going to start happening. This is where I think we maybe considered things to be getting a bit off the rails, because I do think that like green-black is probably one of the worst archetypes in the format. I don't want to be like that person that just comes out here and just drafts the Festival Crashers deck every time, but I really feel like we should have just taken Stolen Vitality and then seen if we ended up in something with those style of cards. It's very weird to say things like that. We should just be taking the Stolen Vitality, but that's kind of where I feel, right? I don't want the Faithful Mending. I don't want Ritual Guardian. Geist Wave is arguably the strongest card in the pack, but if we've gotten to pick 5 and haven't seen a compelling reason to play blue, I'm ready to just abandon blue. So we can let the Geist Wave go. I think this one really does come down to the Stolen Vitality or the Eccentric Farmer, both of which are off color, and we probably should have just taken the Stolen Vitality. I think the Farmer probably, I think this is just a Vitality pack. And as we're on to the next one, it still would have been okay, right? If we have our deck at pick 6 as being Jadar, 2 Vampire Interloper, and then the 1 Stolen Vitality. That's a reasonable enough place to be in black red. So I like the Interloper here still. And with these, this pack wouldn't have helped things in any way. The Sentry was easy, and then we did pick up the 1 Festival Crasher, and I think it just feels like we should have dove in at some point. The regraph tabled. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really odd pack 1. That's really odd. We had the 1 Crasher, the Vitality. We only missed out on 1 Vitality. I think we probably should have just been in black red, but I mean, this doesn't help matters any, right? When we come in here and the black and red cards are Immolation, Ruffian, and Arrogant Outlaw, I think it was still wide open enough that the only thing we knew we weren't playing was blue. Now, from this point forward, I do still kind of worry that I got like too hung up on these black cards, but it's like the green-white deck doesn't seem like it really ever presented itself either. And so I think Borrowed Time was fine. Here is where I think it's kind of interesting. Is the Lunar Frenzy is pretty strong. The Eccentric Farmer is not. We're not super locked into green. Oh, come back. Right? Our green cards at this point are Harvest Tide Sentry, Eccentric Farmer, and Digraph Rebirth. When we had the Festival Crasher Stolen Vitality already. I think this is where our draft went off the rails. Is we should have taken the Lunar Frenzy and said, okay, we're playing vampires. I know that gets us away from like the Odric's Outrider, and we do have the Unruly Mob to kind of like miter combo with Jadar, but I think this was it. We should have taken the Lunar Frenzy. I know for a fact the Spell Rune Painter tabled at pick 10, and so that would have been like another Crasher style unit, and then I think we could have popped off with it. The Dawnheart Wardens makes things like that more challenging, but I think that's where it went wrong. There's no like really clear direction in these decks. Is the problem we're running into. Like this would either be like a Stinger or a Bat Whisperer coming into here, locking in. We would have had a real decision in the Alchemist or the Crasher. Probably just take the Alchemist. Some minor low quality cards. That would have been Crasher number 2. Then we would have wheeled the Painter. Coming into pack 3, Odric's Outrider was fine once we kind of decided we're playing weird Asban stuff. But this is, kind of the struggle in drafting black-red, is a lot of these packs just don't have good cards in them because red is pretty weak. But we ended up with like Flurry in here with a potential table on Festival Crasher, which wouldn't have tabled. But interesting. My voice is starting to go, and I feel like I'm getting a bit rambly, but that was a really tough draft. I'm still not sure if I'm happy with where we landed, but I do at least notice going back through, we didn't really miss any of these like Dawnheart Rejuvenators. Like the mana fixing just was non-existent, and so I don't feel bad in that sense. We might have missed like a Jack-o'-lantern or something, but I don't feel like we missed out too much in terms of mana fixing. Whew, but oh boy, yeah, this voice is starting to go. Let's go. Let's claim these prizes, crack these packs, and we're gonna call it a day. So let's see. Should have about 1 million of them. Got the Strixhaven pack, and this is where it gets unfortunate for the people that like to watch the packs be opened. We got all the rares at this point, so it's just like gems after gems after gems. I don't know if we should complain about it or not. I guess it almost gets you, like, if you're in the space to where you get 4 wins for the negative 100 gems and, like, 3 packs. That just means you're just, like, barely negative, but it's tough. Gems, gems, gems. What else we got? Gems. What we got here? Gems. Mythics are 1 and 6, right? So we're doing Mythic. No, we're due gems. All right. So that was fun. Not as successful as I like, but I had a good time with that one. So I hope everyone out there enjoyed the trial. You maybe learned how to assemble the Siege engine a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.